the name and the picture. Now, if you do not have a picture ID of any kind, whether it's a driver's license, whether it's a personal type of photo, or whether it's a military identification, tribal identification, or passport, any of those pictures are permissible under the law and can be used as picture ID. If you do not have it, or if you forgot to bring it with you, the worker should instruct you then we'll go over the back of the application with you. And basically it's an affidavit of voter not in possession of picture ID. And basically what you're doing is signing a statement, kind of a sworn statement saying that you do not have your picture ID with you. You would still be given a ballot to vote. Do not let anybody tell you that you can't vote because you can. I know that here in the county, I think the last election, there may have been some jurisdictions that didn't allow people to vote. I fire people in my office for not letting people to vote who are qualified to vote. Okay? So if you want my election workers, I think I have a couple here, they know that I do fire people. But again, a vote is so important. Now, number one, we're not going to ever allow anybody to vote who's not qualified to vote. I want to make that clear. But nor are we going to violate the rights of someone who is qualified to vote. And I always say to the workers, when in doubt, what are you going to do? Pick up the phone and call the office, right? Okay? So again, if you sign the back, you can still vote. Now, there is such a ballot called a provisional ballot. A provisional ballot, let me just give you a little bit of history about that. If you all remember the debacle in Florida in the year 2000, okay? The federal government, as a result of that, decided to develop a provisional ballot process whereby, I don't want to go through the entire process, but let's say, for example, I'll use the example of probably more than 1,000, if not more, undeliverable voter cards that we received back in the mail from all the registrants that were out there in the field. We received 1,000, probably more, saying undeliverable, no such address, no such whatever. If some of those people showed up at the polls, let's say the election worker looked in the qualified voter file, and their name wasn't on the list, they would call the office, we would give them the information and say, oh, that person attempted to register, we attempted to contact them, but their card was returned undeliverable. That would be one of those situations where that person would cast a provisional ballot. And in casting a provisional ballot, and I'll show you what that looks like, that person would have to complete a 4-step procedural form, which is almost like a re-registration form. That person would be given a ballot, but in the poll book and so forth, it would be marked provisional. The chairperson of that particular precinct would then escort that person to the booth, and after that person comes out of the booth, instead of that person going to the optical scan to put the ballot into the optical scan to have it counted, the worker would have them put their ballot in this provisional ballot secrecy sleeve, and then in this envelope. At the end of the night, all of this comes back to the office. It is not counted that night. Because the reason it's not counted that night is because it hasn't been established that that person is truly a registered voter. Okay? Now, under federal law, we have 6 days from the election day to review all of the provisional ballots in-house to make a determination as to whether or not that person is indeed registered. 99% of the time, it's been my experience having gone through these elections, it proves to be not. Okay? And therefore, it is not counted. If it is counted, in some instances, then we have to make a report to the county clerk's office as well as to the state, so that those numbers then would be added to the overall tally of the county, the city, the county, and the statewide election figures. Okay? Did I make that clear? Okay. Challengers. Many of you, especially the League of Women Voters, are aware that Flint and other urban areas have had problems with challengers since the 1990s. Challengers are individuals who, or organizations who are supposed to be trying to preserve the so-called purity, if you will, of an election. Okay? In any election such as this, both the Democratic and Republican Party will send challengers into a community. Both political parties, neither political party, I should say, will have to request their permission, our permission, to come in as challengers. Under the law, they can just come in. And what they normally do is disperse their people to all the different polling sites. And I should say in this case, because I'm not going to lie to you, they normally target the north end. Okay? Now, some nonprofit organizations also want to be challengers. Now, under the law, they have to make a request of the clerk permission to come into the community to serve as challengers. And this is about 21 days prior to the election. Then it's up to the clerk to either grant permission to that particular organization or not grant. Now, one of the things that the law requires is no matter what political party or no matter what organization is out there as a challenger, they have to wear a name tag or a badge identifying who they are. The one thing that I want to bring to your attention, because and I have a handout in the back, and it's on white paper. It gives you all the information in terms of what the challenger can and can't do. Number one, a challenger cannot stand in the way or prevent a person from trying to vote. Okay? Now, a challenger can go into the precinct, stand behind the work table where the election workers are, and just watch everything that's happening. The law does not allow them to touch anything. All they can do is look and ask a question of the chairperson. They cannot intimidate the workers, or should not intimidate the workers, nor should they intimidate the voter. Now, if they challenge a voter, they can only challenge a voter based on three things. Number one, age, citizenship, or residency. When they pose that challenge, the challenge has to be posed by the challenger to the chairperson, who in turn poses the question to the voter. Okay. But again, a lot of it is about, and I just have to admit this, it's about intimidation. Now, I don't stand for it.